What's up? Happy Friday. Welcome back to the Daily Fight. I'm Robyn Tanner. I am your host, your coach, your trainer, your challenger. I am here to pull out of you your warrior, to wake you up so you fight for your future self. And this week I've been talking about like your toddler having that toddler tantrum and what is your toddler trying to tell you, meaning like your desires can be yours and should be yours just because they are, because you want them, like the toddler in the store that is screaming and crying and rolling around on the floor and putting things in the shopping cart just because they want what they want. And I want to make sure that you're living a life true to your desires and your dreams and your goals. So that was on Monday. And then we kind of tapped into like your store, and which is really just an analogy for you and kind of a metaphor in life. On like your strengths. And if you were a store, like what would you have to offer? What are your gifts? What are your talents? What are the things that would people be buying from you? Like, what do you have to sell the world? Because we're all selling something. And that was the topic on that. So I want you to kind of tap into that. The other one was my Dance It Out with Grey's Anatomy. And I'm kind of giving you a little recap here, kind of how to self-regulate, how to get over that, like where you're in a freeze state and you're still being functional and you're trying to be productive, but it's more along the lines of you need to rest and you kind of need a little revamp in the moment, in the minute, and some of the life lessons that I've gotten from watching the Grey's Anatomy season. And then yesterday, I think I really tapped into, or I tried to tap into, labeling ourselves. And I'm creating this program, which you can now go to and enroll in, The Rise, which is a transformation experience. It is a coaching program. It is live. It is also pre-recorded. You get things delivered to your inbox. You have access to me 2 or 3 times a week. So you get that coaching to help you rise into the dream, the life that you want. We're going to create a life that you crave. You're going to get to rise into your future self and who you're becoming. We're going to shed some old beliefs and old patterns and just the things that are holding you back. And it really just kind of embraces my whole machete mentality, fight for your future self, to wake your warrior, to live with that spirit without being placed into a box and having to do it their way and boxing yourself into a certain belief system, a pattern that you must fit in here and you've got to do it this way. And that I'm trying to build a home. I want to build a home. I am building a home and an army of women who are battling for the things that they believe in, and on all different scales. And so really, if you are that outlier and that rebel and that go against the grain, and we are trying to build that life that you don't need a break from, so that you're living life on your terms, so that you're communicating your desires, so that you figure out the clarity to actually speak your truth, what is authentic for you, and that you have the courage to take action on it, and that you have the ability and the skills and the depth to conquer the commitments that you've set for yourself. And then you have the humility to step back and be flexible and pliable and adjust and reset as many times as you need to keep pace with yourself, and that you're not trying to fit into any other boxes. And so today, that's your little recap on this Fierce Friday. And really, I'd love for you to go to robyntanner.com/therise, or click on the link in the show notes or the comments below, wherever you're watching this or you're listening to it, and just take some time to go through it and read what I've written. I love writing. It's how I speak my truth. It's how I heal. It's how I deal with my feelings, whether it's past, present, or future. And it's also one of the things that I want you to start doing along on this journey. And as you rise into the woman that you know that you can become, that God's made you to be, that He has got this gift waiting for you, this vision, this movie, this picture perfect fairy tale, and that you can fight for it, and that you can keep pace up for it, and you can create it, and it can be yours, and it can look different from everybody else's. And that's the life that I want for you. That's the life that I want for myself. It's the life that I want for my daughter and for my son. And so I'm looking at some of my notes. This is some of my notes on the 16 different levels that we'll be going through in the Rise. And we do kick off on August 27th, but this will be an ongoing coaching program, so that no matter when you join up, if you join now or you join in August or September or October, you will be able to just merge in and start wherever you need to start and pick up wherever you need to pick up. I've designed it that way. But I'm looking at one of the weeks, and I believe this is actually like week 6. So whenever you start the journey in the rise with me and with your battle angel, army of badass women who are fighting for their future self, one of the weeks will be where we are really rebelling against the old. And what that means to me is that we are going to disrupt. All right. We are going to be disruptors in your old beliefs and your old attitudes and your old patterns and your old go-tos and all of the old ways that you used to do it. I had a lot of clients that always wanted to get back to what they used to be and how they used to do it. And then when you figure out that it's not working, or you can't get there as fast, or the results aren't the same, or it's because you've grown, you've outgrown it. It's become, you're no longer in that season of your life, or you have different values that you're no longer in alignment with that. And oftentimes we set goals like at the beginning of this year. I bet you set some goals and some intentions, and you need to check in with yourself to see if it's still true, to see if it's still what you want, or is it what other people want, or do you feel bad because you said you wanted this and you set out to do it, and then you've changed your mind on the inside, but you haven't released that to the rest of the world. And I don't really mean the rest of the world, which, P.S., by the way, you do not have to give people warning when you change your mind or decide outside of the immediate family that it might affect. But you don't have to announce to the world or social media or anybody that you've changed your mind, or that you're no longer going after this goal, that it's actually okay to change your mind. And I think that's one of the things, even for rebels, because sometimes we get hard-headed and we get stubborn and we get caught up in the doing, that we stop to go, oh shit, like I don't want this anymore, or I've changed my mind, or this is too much. Like, and oftentimes we'd be seen as weak because we think, oh, well, I gave up, or I quit and I didn't give him my all, when really you're just not in alignment with it anymore. And that is not an excuse. I'm not an excuse maker. But what I've learned after years of being caught up in the doing and the over exercising or overeating or overthinking or over analyzing or over controlling or doing it at all costs, you can't. You've got to learn and have that humility, set your ego aside, put it in the back seat, examine that resistance in your life. And that is one of the weeks and one of the phases that we'll be going through, is really rebelling against your default patterns and reconciling who you used to be and surrendering that old self, while also embracing the pieces of you that are going to be coming forward. But this is one of the biggest mistakes that we make, is because we think that we listen to the podcast, we read the book, we show up to the coaching session, we go to the networking group, but we don't dig deeper. There is a dig to it. And that is one of the lessons. There is a dig like beneath the surface. It's like when you go in to have surgery. When I had surgery, I had two major infections in my body, and they had formed these abscesses, and they were large, and they were growing, and they were rising in my spine and in my hip and in my sacrum, and my like tailbone area, and going up my spine, and they were growing larger and larger, infecting the rest of my body, my blood, my bones, all of those things. And they had to go in and they had to cut out part of my spine, part of the bone, and they had to dig it out. And then on top of that, and I know this is getting a little too yucky or whatever, but then they had to drain the rest of it. And oftentimes, one, we don't dig beneath the surface. We show up for the things, and that is level 0. Showing up to the gym is level 0, right? Then you've got another level of like, now you got to go back again, or you have to lift a little bit heavier, or you have to do one more rep, and then you have to meal prep, and you have to eat the healthy food, and you have to measure the food, and you have to weigh the food, and you have to track the calories in order to, right? There's certain levels that you have to do. And even if you're an athlete and your kids are competing, you might know, like I've talked about it a lot with my son with Taekwondo, there's levels to his belts, and you have to dig deeper. You have to do the conditioning beyond the surface. You have to do the surgery in your life. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see women doing is that this tough exterior, that we can just set it aside and we can do it later, or we can just show up, and showing up is enough. And it's not. You got to do the work. You have to apply the principles and the strategies. And that's where we often fail, because we don't have somebody coaching us along the way to organize, to implement, to pull out blind spots, to challenge us with different perspectives, to spin ideas off of with, to brainstorm with. But really, it is the application of the questions. Like I've got, you can go onto my website and download my 100 prompts. I give you so much coaching information. My F-bombs, training totally free, all of these things, all of these podcasts, they're great, right? I listen to 4 myself on a regular basis. They're amazing. But if I don't actually stop and do the work and answer the questions, if I don't actually do the work that my counselor is telling me to do, I'm just going to repeat the cycle. And that's what I'm talking about with the quit quiz, because you stay suffering in your own mess, in your own sabotage, because you don't dig a little bit deeper. So definitely one of the lessons will be rebelling against the old, because oftentimes us rebels, right, we're so dead set on doing it our way and seeing it through at all costs, no matter how much we're invested, because we don't want to seem weak. We don't want to seem weak. We don't want to look like we're giving up or like we're quitting, because we're so relentless. Right. And we're so fierce and we're so determined. God forbid we change our mind. God forbid we make a U-turn. God forbid we take a left instead of a right, or a right instead of a left. Even though we say that it's okay because we're rebels and we're rule breakers and we go against the grainers, we don't want to look like it got too hard, so we just quit. That's not what I'm talking about. Like quitting for me would be, I'm done speaking, I'm done coaching, I'm done writing. I'm just going to go get a 9-to-5 job. That's fine for other people. Not cool for me, because I've got a voice, I've got creativity, I've got resourcefulness. I've been gifted some of these things. I'm working on making my skill set better by putting myself in positions to call myself up and out. And it's hard. And that's part of the daily fight. That would be quitting if I just decided I'm done. I'm not, this is hard. It's not working. It hasn't happened yet. I quit. I give up. Right. But choosing a different platform, choosing a different repackaging your course, or repackaging your role, or how you're showing up for your team, or switching, jobs, but in the same field. You get what I'm saying? There's ways that you can get creative and resourceful to still get to where you're going without being such a rebel against yourself. So I want to make sure that you're not just rebelling just for the sake of rebelling, that you're not going against the grain just to go against the grain and be hard-headed and be stubborn, but that you're actually doing it to rebel against the way that it used to be, the way that you did it, the way that you outgrew it, the way that wasn't right for you, the way that was tiring you out, the way that was exhausting, the way that was hurtful and harmful to your future self, the way that made you feel icky and drained and didn't fill you up with aliveness. Right? You want to make sure that you're rebelling against staying small and shrinking yourself and downplaying the pain and the hurt and all of the stuff that you went through, because it's not that bad, because you're comparing yourself to, Susie down the street who has it way worse, or her kids have it worse, or her husband has it worse, or the people at the church, whatever it is that you're comparing yourself to. I only want you to compare yourself to you, to who you used to be, to how you used to show up. Are you still doing those things? Good, bad, or ugly? Do they want to come with you? So we really kind of will be digging into that inside of the Rise. So I do hope, and I invite you to go check it out. And I invite you that if it is on your heart, if you're like, yes, I've got something inside me, I have a restlessness, I have an urging, I have something, I'm not sure what it is, or I have a pain and I'm so sick of being here. It doesn't matter if it's weight loss or if it's finances. And I'm not a weight loss coach anymore, but I can tell you right now, the reason you're not losing weight, it doesn't really have to do with, yes, calories in, calories out, move more, eat less, but it's deeper than that for some people. It's deeper than that if you're not connecting the dots, if you don't do all of the work. And I've got 4 phases for you inside of the Rise. That is something, not that it's not new that I've never done it, but it's definitely a different perspective, a different avenue, a different take on how I'm doing it, because I want you to really rewrite your story. Right? I want you to rebel against the old way. I want you to redefine what's possible. I want you to come alive and awake and create your fairy tale. I want you to reclaim your inner power. These are the things that you can find in my store. So make sure you check out that podcast and go to the Rise. So if you feel like that is something that, yes, I can get behind, that I need help doing this, that I want an army of women that are doing the same thing, that are on the same path, that have, similar adversity and pain and something to overcome, or a dream to do, something not to chase after, but something to live in. And I will end with that. I had a client once that was like, it's so good seeing you chase your dreams. And I'm like, I'm not chasing them. I'm doing them. I'm living in them. They don't look exactly like the fairy tale of the end result yet that I have, that end vision that like once I get there, but they are pretty close. They're just not scaled at the level that I want them yet. And I talk more about that in my program as well as I coach you along. So sometimes we don't see that that we're actually already doing our dream and we're living in our dream, but maybe it just doesn't look like the way you want it to look like yet. And we want to help kind of sharpen that and iron that out and redefine what that looks like for you. So next week, every day on my podcast, I will be sharing with you kind of some of those mistakes, those things that you might be doing that you might see yourself in, whether it's the grin and bear it, or you're powering through, or you're trying to keep the peace, things like that that would be affecting you. So whether or not you enroll in the Rise and become one of the battle angels and you're part of the army and you're on the mission, because my goal would be that we've got a really good group rallied that come the end of the year. I love this, is that you're there. You're through the hard, you're through the digging, right? You're through the hard part, and that you're doing the damn thing. You're on the road to doing the thing. You're no longer just sitting there looking out the window, wishing about it and talking about it and thinking about it. But like, you're either there, you've accomplished it. Like, let's say that it is weight loss and you're tired of having to lose the same 25 pounds over and over again. What would that look like and feel like if you achieved that before Christmas time, right? Like by mid-December, that you're there and you didn't have to work out crazy and you didn't have to count ridiculous amount of calories, that you actually dealt with the emotions that you keep filling up with your vices and your coping mechanisms that are not healthy. What if you started to believe in the things that you think are a little bit woo-woo and fluffy right now because you're so tough and you're so strong and you're so resilient? Because trust me, I was there. The me, a year ago and 2 years ago and 3 years ago would have never been like, you need to rest more, go take a nap, you need to regulate your nervous system. Like, I would have never tried to learn and study and read about how that just takes me to burnout and exhaustion and bitterness and resentment and shrinking myself and actually being a victim to my own self because I'm rebelling against myself instead of rebelling against the norm that used to be for me, the average that used to be for me, the standards that used to be for me. I'm no longer that person anymore. I'm still a fighter, still a warrior, and so are you, but it might look a little different. And we got to get okay with that. We got to get okay with doing it differently. We got to get okay with the dig and going through the mud and the muck to get to where we want to go. And this phase, we don't kick off with it. And that's the other mistake, is we think we have to start with this. That's not where we're starting at all, which is pretty super cool. So I hope that you go to the Rise and you check it out, robyntanner.com/the Rise. I got no shame whatsoever. This is going to happen. I want to enroll a woman every single day for the next year. Every single day. We kick off August 27th. I'm going to be there for you. The other women are going to be there. We're going to do this together, and we are going to build a movement of battle angels, of badass women who are fighting for their future self, who are not apologizing or shrinking themselves, who will stop resisting against themselves, start loving who they're at without giving up their identity, that it's okay to be a rebel. It's okay to be a line leader. It's okay to do things differently. It's okay to not fit in because you fit in here. And finally having that home and that place, that safe haven, right? That community, that sisterhood, that tribe, that call it whatever you want, that they get you, that they got your back, and that you've got a coach in me who will fight for you, who will give you enough of her energy and let you come into my store and take some of that confidence and perspective and mentality, right? And mindset that will challenge you, because I'm a no-nonsense Gordon Ramsay type of coach, tough love, transparent, vulnerable. I will not let you stay the same. And I think that's the one thing that makes me unique. I don't think I know. I will provide that tough love, that guidance, the blueprints, but will also help you make it yours. So it's your rhythm, that it's not my cookie cutter. And probably if you asked me this 7 or 8 years ago, I would have told you that the only way to get there is here to here to here. And that's how you got to do it. And if you don't follow it's my way or the highway, get the hell out. And that just isn't so. And I've learned that through 9 years of doing this and trying to figure it out with coaches, through programs, through education, through the stories and the successes and the struggles in myself and in you, and in all the clients that I have helped and the people that I have trained and coached, and my writing and my speaking and my healing and going to a counselor and relying on amazing, awesome coaches and investing in my own kind of rebellious ways so that I get to where I want to go. And I kind of open that path up for other people to do the same. I think that's what I'm here for. I think that's what God wants me to do. And if it's not, I know well enough to stop and make that U-turn. So I'm here to help you rebel against the old, stop rebelling against yourself, stop resisting yourself, stop fighting yourself, meet you where you're at, and rise you up. And this is the Daily Fight. I cannot wait to see you next week. I hope you take some time over the weekend to actually answer some of the questions. Maybe go download the 100 prompts at robyntanner.com/100 prompts. Listen to the F-bombs, take the F-bombs challenge, do the quit quiz, go check out the Rise. I've given you like 3 or 4 different free resources, totally free. There is no like, you must buy, you must enroll. And if you don't, I don't love you anymore. If it's for you, you'll enroll. And if it's not, that's cool. You could pass this on to somebody else that maybe would want to. But I'm not going to apologize for this because this is part of my mission. This is part of my desire. This is part of what I stand for. I'm finally in a place where I feel like I can birth this, that I can lead this, and that we can build this community together. And I know what I stand for, and that's to help you. You walking, you doing your laundry, you watching this, you doing the questions, you showing up at a job you don't want to be in anymore, you in a relationship you don't want to be anymore, you hiding from the mirror, you lying to yourself, you betraying yourself, you walking around smiling so exhausted and tired, but you're here and you're showing up. I'm representing you. I want to help you forge yourself to fight for your future self. I want to help release the inner badass in you. I want to help you have all the blessings that God has for you. I want to help you set those audacious, crazy, delusional, God-sized goals and start living in them, not chasing them, but living in them. And that starts with rebelling against that old self and rebelling against the things that aren't working. And it starts by being honest about where you're at. But that's what I'm here to do. And I won't apologize for that. I'm excited for it. This is a movement. This will be a big movement. This will be something amazing. I see it. And I'm grateful today that I am crazy enough to show up every day to do this and to attempt it. And I hope that you are too. So I'll see you on the inside. Peace out. Go check out The Rise at robyntanner.com/The Rise. Have a great weekend. Happy Friday. Be fierce.